everybody, welcome back to 100% Mags. So Newcastle United last night took on Crystal Palace down at Selhurst Park, and of course the game ended in a 2-0 win in Newcastle. Now, talking on the game, Newcastle had some pretty good chances in the game to take the lead early on. Of course, Joelinton had two really great chances in the first half. He had the chance of a header which he put wide. He had the chance of a one-on-one-ish chance, and that didn't get anything on the end of it neither. And then of course Wilson had a couple of chances as well with a header which just scraped past the post, which could have put Newcastle in the lead. Crystal Palace had chances as well on the game to put themselves in the lead. Of course, them coming into this one without Wilfried Zaha as well, which obviously would be a struggle for Crystal Palace as he is their star player. But they still had the likes of course, Andros Townsend playing in the game. A player that was the pantomime villain in that game last night for me would have to be Jeffrey Schlupp for Crystal Palace. He was all over the ground last night, and he just didn't seem to want to stay on his feet. He was having little moments as well, trying to pick fights with Newcastle players in the game, which there's just no room for that in the top level of English football. But you know, we'll come out of this game last night 2-0 winners against Crystal Palace side that was without, like I say, Wilfried Zaha, and it looked like it was going to end in a scoreless draw, you know, until late on in the second half when there was a throw-in, and of course Joelinton got this lovely little flick with the throw-in. He flicked it up into the path of Wilson. Wilson tapped it back to Joelinton. Joelinton did a couple of little fancy flicks to take it under control. A no-look pass by Joelinton into the back path of Callum Wilson, finding his way lovely in behind the defenders and right in on goal against Guaita of Crystal Palace, and he just had to put it away, and he did it absolutely amazing and just slotted it right through the legs of Guaita in goal for Crystal Palace, put Newcastle United 1-0 up. Then, of course, only seconds later, you know, we're seeing Joelinton running through on goal. Gets himself in for a one-on-one chance. Only Gary Cahill there to try and block the shot. And, of course, he did have a chance to pass off to Callum Wilson as well. But, you know, Joe, he wanted to go for it himself after Callum Wilson already picked up himself a goal just a few seconds earlier. And, of course, Joelinton shot at it, and it went off the ankles of Gary Cahill and into the back of the net past Guaita. Of course, a deflection, but I'm sure Joelinton won't care about that as he got his first Premier League goal of the season. With that win last night, that moves Newcastle up to 10th in the Premier League table as we're heading to the game on Friday, coming up against Aston Villa, one of Steve Bruce's old clubs, and of course Jack Grealish and co, who they currently sit in 7th in the table. Talking about a few players last night in the game, obviously we were without Alan St-Maxim for that game, which you could say little moments if Maxi was on the pitch, he would have absolutely tore Crystal Palace apart in. Of course, Almiron got the chance to have himself in the starting 11 last night as well for the first time in a little while. And you know, he just didn't seem impressed last night. He didn't get a chance neither to really do anything on the ball. And another player, you know, that really didn't impress. He had some moments in the game. Don't get us wrong. He did do some good moments in the game. There was some good passes from, of course, Jonjo Shelvey. But there was that typical mentality from Jonjo Shelvey as well, where he just seems very lazy and just sits back way too much. He didn't seem like he was really interested in the game too much neither. Didn't seem up for it. He did do some great passes, like I say. He sprayed the ball right, left and centre like he usually does. But there was a moment in the game where Sean Longstaff headed the ball down into the path of Jonjo Shelvey, and of course Shelvey just stood blank on the spot, and Crystal Palace player just ran in and grabbed the ball. You know, Jonjo Shelvey was obviously expecting it straight at his feet, which, you know, you're asking a lot of Sean Longstaff to head it straight at your feet, especially when there was a Crystal Palace man pulling on him as well whilst he's trying to do the header, which is absolutely, unspeakable that you'd be able to even pass that straight at your feet in that sort of situation. But we'll come away from this game, like I say, 2-0 winners against Crystal Palace. We'll move on to the game on Friday against Aston Villa, and hopefully we can pick up 3 points in that one, or at least a draw. Would be nice if we could pick up the 3 points and start a little bit of an unbeaten streak. But again, Steve Bruce looked very out of place in the Newcastle United dugout. Didn't seem to shout too much in the game, even though Newcastle won 0-0 right the way up until at least the 85th or 86th minute of the game. Which is absolutely crazy that he didn't shout at all in all that time, with Newcastle being 0-0 right the way up until Callum Wilson banged in his goal. But let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, remember, like, share, subscribe to 100% Mags, and I'll see you all next time. However, lads.